We are back with another Premier League predictions video. Today we go through the Gameweek 26 Premier League matches and we're gonna go more in depth and predict them as per usual. So let's get straight into Leicester versus Brentford. This game should be quite decent, honestly, so let's get started with Leicester. It has been a rough season for them. They're currently in 19th place in the Premier League. Form-wise, it's been pretty rough as well, considering they are 19th place. And last game they played Arsenal and they lost 2-0. Now I'm gonna be honest, they actually played pretty well. I'm just surprised they didn't get a goal at all. Now on to Brentford, they have actually played pretty decent this season. I do think they're actually a pretty good team, but if we're talking about form, they've been a bit on and off, winning some games, losing some games. And last game they played West Ham and they actually won 1-0. Kevin Schad scoring again. And I can't lie, he's been quite clutch in a lot of matches this season. And this team, I would say, is probably one of the most underrated ones in the Premier League. And my prediction is going to be a 2-1 win for Brentford. Moving on to Everton versus Manchester United. This game is going to be super good, so let's get started with Everton. They've actually been pretty decent this season. Their form recently has been very impressive. David Moyes has came in and he's made an instant impact. Like, I mean, last game they played Crystal Palace, they won 2-1. Beto yet again scoring for them, and Alcaraz getting his first goal for the club. And on to Manchester United, they're not looking good, if we're being honest. Ruben Amorim, I think he has to be given some time to rebuild this team and just rebuild the whole project, for being honest. But their form has not been too bad. The last game they played Spurs and they lost 1-0. But I'm not gonna lie, Spurs were the better side. They dominated Manchester United like fully throughout the whole game. Man United had some chances here and there, like Garnacho somehow missed a 1v1. He literally skied it. That's unbelievable. 1v1 with the keeper and you just sky it. Crazy. But my prediction is going to be a 2-1 win for Everton. Moving on to Bournemouth versus Wolves. This is going to be quite a good one. So let's get started with Bournemouth. They have actually been very good this season. I would say they're one of the most underrated teams, if not the most underrated team in the Premier League. Like, their form has been pretty good, honestly. The last game played Southampton and they won 3-1. Kluivert has been phenomenal for them in the attack. The two center backs, Huijsen and Zabarni, have held their own. Like, take it in, they're actually pretty young center backs and they're doing very well defensively. Very impressive. On to Wolves, they have been doing not too well this season. I can't lie, I do think they play some pretty good football. It's just, I don't know, the results are just not there. Their form has been not the best as well recently. Last game they played Liverpool and they lost 2-1. That second half, they completely controlled it. I thought it would end off as a draw, but it didn't. Cunha, of course, the main orchestrator of the attacks. I believe he got a goal in that Liverpool game, but at the end of the day, I think Bournemouth are gonna win 3-1. Now, Ipswich versus Tottenham, I expect this game to be quite tight. So let's get started with Ipswich. They've been struggling a bit this season. Another team that plays pretty good football. Their form has been not the best as well. Like, last game they played Aston Villa and they drew 1-1. Delap is a great striker. Like, he could literally do everything. He could hold up play, run in behind. Incredible. He could score headers as well. A lot of big clubs are looking at him. So maybe he could move in the summer, but we will have to wait and see for that. Now on to Tottenham. It's been a tough season for them. For being honest, they have had quite a bit of injuries, which has affected their performances, and their form has not been the best. To be fair, the last game they did beat Manchester United 1-0. They played very well. I would say they dominated the whole, probably majority of the game. Maddison and Kulusevski were quite good in that game, running a lot of the attacks. Now my prediction is going to be a high scoring 3-2 win for Tottenham. Moving on to Southampton versus Brighton now. This game, in my opinion, will only go one way. So let's get started with Southampton. They are struggling hard this season. I think we all know that. Unfortunately, it does look like they are probably going down. At the moment, their form has not been the best as well. Like last game, they played Bournemouth. The in-form Bournemouth side, they lost 3-1. But you gotta respect it because they put up a fight. In that match, Sulemana being the only goal scorer. They need results soon if they want to somehow make it out of the relegation zone. Now on to Brighton. Brighton have been pretty decent this season. I would say pretty decent team. Play a unique style of football. Like their form, it's been not too bad recently. After that 7-0 whooping to Forest, they brought back their form, played Chelsea, and they managed to beat them 3-0. That was very surprising, honestly. I did not expect that from them. And Mitoma and Mente were the scorers. Those two absolutely played very well in that match, and my prediction is going to be yet another 3-0 win for Brighton. Moving on to Arsenal versus West Ham. This game should be pretty good, so let's get started with Arsenal. They have been quite good this season. Currently sat in second place, 7 points behind Liverpool. Now their form has been quite solid for them as well. Last game they played Leicester, who gave us a pretty good game. Honestly, they played pretty well, but we managed to win that game 2-0 with Marino scoring the goals at striker. This guy had almost better finishing than Havertz up front. Now this guy Nwaneri is a special kind of player. He is carrying the attack. Now on to West Ham. They're struggling quite a bit. Form-wise, it's been a little rough, for being honest. Last game they played Brentford and they lost 1-0. Bowen is back in the team and he came back a few games ago, which is good. Last time I did see West Ham play and they did play well, but they just could not finish their chances. But surely they start Evan Ferguson, because eventually I think he needs to start there, because I believe in the last game they played Lucas Paqueta as like a false 9 or something like that. Now my prediction is going to be a 3-1 win for Arsenal. Now moving on to Fulham versus Crystal Palace. It's going to be probably one of the most underrated games this weekend. Now let's get started with Fulham. They are another team who has gone under the radar. Their form has been quite good as of recent. Like last game they played Forest, a pretty good team who's been doing well this season. They won 2-1, very surprising there, and they were dominant in that game, beating a lot of top teams this season. It's crazy. And Smith Rowe getting the first goal, and then Bassi got the goal as well. So this team is really a great team to watch. Now on to Crystal Palace. They've been alright this season. Honestly, they are getting better and better every game, I would say. Although their form, it's been on and off, like winning games, losing games, that kind of type of form. Last game they played Everton and they lost 2-1. Their main marksman, Mateta, scoring of course in that game, but Eze kind of seemed to be like more involved in the game compared to previous matches, which is good. Maybe he's gonna get that form back that we saw last season. And Chilwell had a decent little cameo as well. Now my prediction is gonna be a 3-1 win for Fulham. Moving on to Aston Villa versus Chelsea. This game is gonna be a absolute banger, so let's get started with Aston Villa. They have been quite decent this season. Form-wise, it's been a little rough recently. Last game they played Ipswich and they drew 1-1. Now Watkins is back to his scoring form again. He got a goal in that game, and Morgan Rogers has impressed a lot of people this season. He's been phenomenal for Aston Villa. And Malen, ever since joining Dortmund, I think when I've seen him play, he's been quite good with his dribbling, and his pace is a big factor for him as well. On to Chelsea. They have been pretty good this season. Currently they are sat in 6th place. Pretty crazy because they were at 3rd place probably, I don't know, a month or 2 ago, but their form has been on and off as well recently. Last game they played Brighton and they lost 3-0, and before that they played Brighton in the cup and they lost 2-1. So that's back-to-back losses against Brighton. They did not register a single shot on target in that 3-0 loss. So Maresca, a lot of people are saying he might have been like found out. A lot of his tactics people know, and they know how to just work around them. So might be time to change some stuff up. Now Palmer has not been too good ever since the start of 2025, and Madueke has been injured. I believe he got injured in that game against Brighton, so that's a huge miss on that right side. My prediction is going to be a 2-1 win for Aston Villa. Moving on to Newcastle versus Nottingham Forest. This game is going to be so underrated, so let's get started with Newcastle. They've been quite good this season, currently sitting in 7th place in the Premier League. Their form has actually been not that bad. Like last game, they got outplayed by City. They lost 4-0. Isak couldn't manage to score in that match as well. I do think they will bounce back in this game though. Onto Nottingham Forest. They've been, I would say, pretty good this season. They've surprised everyone in the Prem. Like their form recently, it has been on and off. They did play Fulham in their most recent game and they lost 2-1. Chris Wood scoring once again. This guy just scores nearly every single game. Now Forest, honestly, when I see them, they're a very well-drilled team defensively. They work very well on the counter, especially with Alanga on the wing and Chris Wood up top. So Chris Wood gets in those positions very well centrally. Now my prediction is going to be a 2-2 draw between those two. Moving on to the biggest game this weekend, and that is Man City versus Liverpool. What a game this is going to be. Now let's get started with Man City. They have been not too bad this season. Currently they're in 4th place in the Premier League, so their form has improved quite a bit. Last game they played Newcastle, as we mentioned before, and they won 4-0. That result really surprised me, and honestly, fair play to City. They might be getting their form back, and Omar Marmoush, I believe in his 3rd match for Man City, he got a hat-trick in 30 minutes. That is unbelievable stuff. Man City have a great player on their hands here. Now this City team is a lot more balanced with Gonzalez in the middle as well. He kind of balances it out in the middle. Onto Liverpool, I would say they're probably the best team in the league right now. They're doing very well in the Premier League. Liverpool are 7 points clear at the top at the moment. Like their form has been quite good. Last game they played Wolves and they won 2-1. And honestly, that first half they did very well, but the second half they dropped off. I didn't see a lot of attacks or just a lot of possession from them. Honestly, Wolves had most of the possession and were really pushing Liverpool. They almost drew in that game. Now Mo Salah came in clutch again with that second goal. It was a penalty. I mean, Mo Salah has been clutch throughout the whole season. He's been probably the best player in the Premier League this season. Now my prediction is gonna be a 3-2 win for Liverpool. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy the video. Don't forget to drop a like, comment down below all your predictions for these games, and don't forget to subscribe as well, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.